everybody. Welcome to another conversation with Carl and Latonya.
Hello.
And I'm Carl.
I'm sleepy.
We're talking about blended families. And I've just been having a lot of thoughts about my own personal journey and some things that went on with me now. As you know, of course, I've been married. This is my third marriage. Latonya is my final foray and lifetime partner. And but my first marriage, I had two children, and the split with my first wife happened when my son was about 5 and my daughter was about 8 or 9 years old. And the impact that I've seen it had on my kids are fine, and God, through the grace of God, always finds a way for people to see greatness in spite of mistakes that parents make. But I just want to have a discussion with you about how you feel about blended families. Should you get married again if you have kids that are small? Should you really try to work out the problems you're having because of the children? Most times people say that you should not stay married because of the kids. I think that's a lie, but it's also because people feel they can't see it through. If you have two adults, which is the key, who decide they're going to work it out and they're going to make changes in the way they respond to the situation and decide to love their wife or husband, the father and or mother of those children, you can make it. People do it all the time. And so anyway, that's kind of the introduction. We'll get into the meat of it. Do you have anything to say? My wife, wherever.
You know what I say.
Well, go ahead and say it. Go ahead.
Well, no, I'm one of those who believes you don't stay together for the sake of the child. No, because if your household is toxic and fussing and fighting all the time, you won't do that with your child.
And I agree.
And for people who can't get it together and have tried and it doesn't work, it's best for you to not, because you could probably do better off being friends, working outside of the marriage as co-parenters and make it work. And yeah, I mean, no, I definitely don't believe you should punish yourself thinking you're doing the best for your child, because you are the parent and you are the first line of everything: defense, love, protection, and everything for this child. So if you're staying in a relationship where you're half of a person, you're not whole, and it's bad, it's like I said, it's toxic, it's whatever, that doesn't do any good.
See, now that's where I do agree with you, but I want to add something to that. I don't say that you should stay in a toxic situation. What I'm saying is, be an adult. You can use a very key phrase you say when people can't.
Right.
Well, I think it's people won't. And when when you have children, you need to get your act together and have some sort of a mirror check. Get the counseling you need. Be responsive to better counsel and people who are mentoring couples. You got married on a certain date. And when you got married, you had the romance, you had the violins and mandolins playing and all this great hope for a future. Then you bring children into the world. And children are depending on you to stay together. You are the entire world. But then we brought up something earlier this morning that I think that is a kind of an interesting point. You know, and I do agree with you, though, about the toxicity of a situation being poison on children. Mm-hmm. But I'll just use my situation. Okay, and with my first wife, we had some intense personal issues. But as I remember it, my kids didn't really see that. My kids saw a cohesive, loving, together household, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't see some of the problems that we were having, even though we were having them. And I will take a lot of that responsibility in terms of my lack of maturity and understanding what I needed to do to help bridge the gap and make that marriage work. Now, it's not to say that she didn't do things too, but I felt that I did have some wisdom in that area, and I could have made some changes that might have made a difference for those children. Yeah. So as a result, when I moved forward and I got married the second time, it had an impact on both my children, but in particularly on, to be transparent, on my son. And this morning, the thought that came across my mind was it the person I married, who I don't think was the right person for the situation, to be the truth, to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. But then again, I look at it, and I don't know if anybody would have been the right person because of his connection to his intact family of his mother and his father, and his father. That's what he knew. He didn't know anything other than that, and he didn't see this tremendous toxicity within the household. And so when I tried to bring somebody in, he responded out of brokenness and disappointment that his mom and dad didn't make it. Now, there's sometimes, and you brought this up, that you'll have a very toxic situation where the kids are happy that the parent got a divorce. Don't know if I'm talking about that, but even there, those two people have a responsibility to grow the hell up. And they can do it, but they won't. And that's kind of what I was talking about, what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. And hey, and be that as it may, if they don't.
Right.
All right. Nobody knows the reasoning or what's behind why that relationship isn't going to work. And so,
no one knows what they know.
Exactly.
Yeah, they know.
But if it's not going to work, and you've tried and tried, or even, I don't even know, whatever your case is, if it's a bad situation and it's going on for time and you're really damaging your kids so much that they would rather see you apart, you know,
that's really, I think
that's bad. But you know what, even in those cases, if kids are used to two parents, you know, no matter how toxic it is, and they're used to two parents, it's still going to be an unfavorable situation to divorce.
Yes, always.
Because you'll bring in some anxiety. Those kids may go through different, you know, things that they'll experience because they're used to, even though it's fussing and fighting all the time, they still had two parents that they were used to. So when that goes away, you may see kids act out or suffer in their grades and things like that.
Yeah, and kids are, and this is the thing that I think is missing, and if you look at the stats of single parent households, and this is to me the selfishness, I might say, of many parents. I'm sorry if I'm stepping on your toes, but kids are built to need a mother and a father. Now, big kudos to people who are doing it by themselves. You do what you got to do. And can we talk about, okay, so now you're broke up and you're moving on, and you're now going to blend the family. You're marrying someone with kids, or, you know, or you have kids, you're bringing into a new household. Right. You know, what is the best way to do that? I think you have a really good theory about that. And I think that, I'll talk about this first. I saw something with Jada Pinkett years ago where she was talking about how she embraced Will's mother, Will's ex-wife, who was the mother of his oldest son. And I think that if you gotta move in that direction, you have got to, or you should, for the sake of the children, embrace the mother or the father of the parent. And that's something that I've always bought into.
I did that.
Yeah, it's very important. Works. And a lot of people don't do that because they don't want to deal, and a lot of people don't do that.
No, because if you got baby mama drama,
oh my God, and it's so immature.
That's pretty bad.
You know, if you can't deal with the parent of the kids who you're stepping into with, you aren't willing to go the extra mile even for the sake of those children who are your husband and your wife's kids. Right. You have a.
I've had it in both situations where the mother and I, you know, didn't have any kind of relationship, and it was kind of nasty. But then tables turned and things changed, and we were able to come together and work with one another, and it was so much better. And then another mother, you know, we always had a good relationship, no problems whatsoever. So it's maturity.
Yes.
And it's what you feel like is best for that child, always. Because, you know, as women, we can let all kinds of emotional, stupid reasons come up to where we don't do well with a blended family situation. You know, I've seen mothers say, tell men, you know, well, they're your family, but now you got this family, so we're your priority.
And it's widespread.
And that's horrible. That's selfish. Yeah, and any man who stays in that situation, to me, is really not thinking of what's best for his own kids. And when it comes to that, because if you've got a woman, if you marry a woman that shows, no, but I know somebody else in that situation too. You know, because I embraced my stepkids, my bonus kids. I knew exactly what I was getting into before I got into it, and I was not going to treat them, you know, badly at all. That's just not in me. But if a man sees that his wife is going to treat his own biological kids badly,
or the biological kid's mother, which
right.
You
can't allow that to stay. You can't allow that. You can't put your hand in the dirt.
You don't need to like the
happening.
person. You don't need to be palling around with the person and have them on your quick dial, talking to them every single day. Although that would really be cool because you're co-parenting the kids. But you know, you have an ex-husband.
Yeah.
Jordan's right in the other room.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have to like. I'm calling his names. I don't have to like Tony. I think Tony's a cool guy, but I want Jordan to see that I am embracing her father.
Right.
Because that closes that loop amazingly well. Now, my kids are grown. So, you know, you don't have that much contact with my first wife because my kids are like 29, 30 years old.
Yeah, past that.
And 26.
Co-parenting.
But whenever you've been in a room with her, like we did that thing for my dad, together. We did this video for my father called The Poet. My dad wrote poetry. And we went to my first wife's house, the same house I bought in 1986. We went over there and we shot this video together. And it was cool. But see, that's the kind of heart you gotta have if you marry somebody with kids. And if you don't want to do that, don't marry nobody with kids.
Yeah, if you're not gonna be
country, really
unconditionally love the kids and accept the parent, and you don't have to be like we say buddy with the people and have dinner together with the other parent all the time. You don't. But you do have to get along. You have to be civil. You have to be kind. You have to be nice.
Be welcoming when they're in the house. Invite them in the house when they're there.
Yeah, don't create toxic
holidays.
situations.
Be open to being,
Yeah.
It's just, man, I could tell you stories. I mean, you would, and then I went into that marriage talking about the things I'm talking about now, and then a month or two in, totally turned on me.
Yeah.
So that's why I talk about these. And you know what? I don't care what y'all think. I'm just telling the doggone story.
Well, here's the thing, because we got to wrap this up. We got to wrap
it over 12 minutes, yeah.
This is what I want to say to women in this situation. If you walk into a situation where you are getting married to a man that has children, you embrace those children, you love those children unconditionally, like your own. There should never be a situation where you say, you put your biological kids up above his kids because you are selfish. You don't have true love. You don't even know what real love is if you're doing it that way. And if you have stuff in your past that makes you feel that way, don't get married because you're not thinking about the whole situation. You should never keep a father away from his kids. You should never be the person or the reason why a father has a bad relationship with his own kids. It should never be you. If he does it, fine. But you should never be the reason or the cause why a man is in a bad relationship with his kids. You should be fostering it. You should be making him call your child. Go spend time with your child. That's what you should be doing. If you're doing anything other than that, you're selfish. You don't need to be married. Period. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
That was so fresh and nice.
And the same goes for men.
Absolutely. But you know what?
It goes vice versa.
But you know what, though? I'm going to say this.
But I find more women doing this than men.
Because with men, and I'm not trying to say it's better or worse, this is how men are. If a man marries a woman and sees that she has kids, men, I think, for the most part, either are not going to deal with it, or if they deal with it, they understand that they are also marrying that kid.
Right.
Women do that too, like my wife does this. But a lot of women say, you know what, like you said, I'm your family now. I'm going to change you into what I want you to be. Right. Now we got a family.
That's not cool.
And it happens more than
it does happen, and it's not
cool. And that's what we're talking about. So we got to get out. We're 14 minutes in. Maybe I can cut this in post. But anyway, I'm Carl Gilliard with another conversation with Carl and Latonya.
I'm Latonya. Up now.
Latonya what?
Gilliard. I'm so in